I think I was about 8 years old when I first read about Bucky Barnes. I had a cheap DC trading card, and on the front of those they listed attributes. They listed, species, special powers, affiliates. Obviously, Bucky Barnes was affiliated with Captain America, whose sidekick he was, but his special powers were none. His race was human. He was an ordinary boy. On the back of the card is a synopsis of his life and his death, and it impressed me so much. The way that it was treated as such an amazing contribution, and his sacrifice when he died was just so powerful and moving. Like it changed everything, because he helped Captain America to stay alive, and that means that we're not ruled by Nazis, essentially. And I thought that that was amazing because I was a kid who lacked self-confidence, which is a separate issue, but I never thought that I was a superhero. Bucky Barnes became this kind of pinnacle of what a sidekick could be, and that's how I saw myself. I did not consciously recognize at the time that this was a feminine ideal, and I continued to not recognize consciously that this was a feminine ideal, but subconsciously it's something that I warred against. I remember in high school being told that though my friend Mikey was obviously Sean, I couldn't be Corey, because I couldn't be the main character, and that pissed me off. Years later, I would write in a fit a song called I Don't Want to Go to Murray, whose lines include, I never wanted to be your Watson, I never wanted to drive you anywhere, because I was so frustrated with somebody who always subordinated me, who was obviously a superhero in his mind, and so I had to be a sidekick, and I didn't want to be a sidekick. But this is where gender roles fuck us up, because there is nothing wrong with being a sidekick. That's kind of how I've always felt, and it's not something that I've been able to embrace throughout my entire life, because it's a feminine ideal, and I didn't want to be that. I don't feel like a woman, so I didn't feel like I should be embracing any sort of feminine aspects. But I should. If it's there, I should embrace it. It's part of who I am. And maybe it's part of who you are, maybe it's not. It doesn't matter. It is not tied to a gender. It is not tied to a sex. Because it has traditionally been a feminine role, I can refer to it as a feminine ideal, but it has nothing to do with gender, like, de facto. So I would say to anybody who feels like a sidekick or has that sidekick impulse, embrace it. It's a wonderful, glorious thing. You get to die for Captain America if you want to. And for anybody who is clearly, at least in their own minds, the superhero, embrace your sidekicks. Don't make them feel like awful or stupid or somehow like less important than you just because they're sidekicks. Love your sidekicks. Your sidekicks are great. They're gonna save your friggin' life. Final thoughts, I guess. I have not really read any Captain America with Bucky. I haven't read any Winter Soldier stuff. I don't really feel any kind of interest or compulsion to read that, because I think that retconning his death is the worst thing ever and totally makes his sacrifice and how important he was to me as a kid meaningless. But those are my thoughts today on sidekicks and Bucky Barnes and feminine ideals and gender roles, and I will see you later.